We are almost 1 year away from the anniversary of when those February storms last year took out our power and water for a lot of us in the KSAT viewing area. We are joined tonight by San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg, and we're going to be talking to CPS Energy and City Councilperson Anna Sandoval coming up at 7 o'clock on our live stream, Mr. Mayor. And the big question I asked both of those individuals was, what did you learn from a year ago and what's changed? So I want to ask you that same question tonight.
Well, there's a lot, and obviously some of that is here at the local level, and a great deal of that is also at the state level, in which we are subject to the management of the state electric grid. But here at the local level, I think the most important thing, the most important lesson that everyone has learned is the importance of communication, timely information to constituents, to residents when there is a pending crisis, and then when we're in the middle of it, making sure that people have the information about such things as warming centers when there's a freeze happening, what we're anticipating from ERCOT in terms of potential outages, just making sure that there's accurate information flowing at every level of crisis management is important, and in multiple venues as well, not just simply through press conferences or TV interviews, but also through text messaging, through social media, and even door to door, which is something that San Antonio has employed throughout this pandemic and even during the winter storm.
Yeah, you know, part of the conversation in the last year since has been not if we're going to see another event like this in terms of those weather conditions, but when. And you mentioned that communication. So would you push to make sure that if this happens the next time and we are in a situation where power is going out, water is going out, there would be some sort of heads up, some sort of notification to all the customers to make sure that they're aware of that?
Yes, absolutely. And first, we've already seen some changes at the state level, and ERCOT was already sending out some additional warnings about the impending weather. So that has improved. We need to continue to see that. At the local level, we have to start before any potential storm or potential disaster event, where we are working door to door to ensure we have access to residents who are in critical situations, so that should an event occur, we know who we're supposed to be looking for if their communications have been blocked or something like that. But also, you know, throughout the storm itself, making sure that, you know, we don't take for granted that people are getting the updates. You know, a lot of folks were just trying to get some peace of mind throughout the duration of the storm and throughout the duration of the outages, and it requires collaboration at every level. So I'm glad that those systems have been focused on. They've been improved. We were able to test drive them in many ways through the last two winter events that we've had here in the city, and we will continue to be improving those as they move along, and that goes for the state as well.
It seems like some of those changes we have seen with the first two cold scares that we had this winter as well. And you know, we talked to Russell Gold, who's an investigative editor and reporter with Texas Monthly yesterday, and he said, you know, we were 2 or 3 minutes away from a catastrophic fail of the power grid. But he also said he does not think ERCOT is ready. Take ERCOT out of the equation. Are you comfortable that the city, CPS Energy, and SAWS are ready in a communication kind of way this time around?
I am, and I've seen that focus at the countywide emergency operations center level. And so I do believe at the local level, they've focused on resiliency and they've focused on redundancy of communication. And so I'm comfortable with that. But the challenge remains at the state level. We are subject to electrical management of the grid at the state level. And should there be outages required because of peak demand or any other issues, that would affect our local community. And in terms of communication, we went from no crisis to deep into a crisis literally overnight without any warning from the state last year. And where we are now, there have been some improvements, but the overall winterization and efforts to improve the grid have been made without any kind of teeth or regulation. So we're in many ways in the same situation we were last year with regard to state energy grid management. But the communication has improved. And again, at the local level, I'm confident that we've done the work that needs to be done to improve communications and also winterization of our own energy utility infrastructure. I will say also, though, there are different kinds of outages that occur. And what we saw in the last winter storm was what we see every year, and that is wind-blown trees that are knocking down power lines, ice on lines that also becomes a challenge. So those kinds of issues are minor in nature. They need to be dealt with from one event to the next. But the overall grid management issues are still a concern at the state level.
Mayor, let's talk about a different kind of storm, getting people back to work and the local economy back on track post-pandemic. Hopefully we can say that soon. Talk about the SA Ready to Work program, because the city has its hand in some other workforce training programs. So what is different about this program?
I think that some of the chief differences of this program, number one, are the level of community involvement. This is putting employers who are actually the job creators in the driver's seat and helping us work with them as facilitators. The city's not doing job training. The city's not doing the intake. We are facilitating, connecting workers with employers. And what needs to happen in between that is skill training. We know there's a tremendous skill gap, not only here in San Antonio, but across the country, where there are jobs that are available, but that are unfilled because employers are looking for workers that have those skill sets and credentials. So we're bridging that gap by facilitating the employers and the employees with this skill training. The other thing that's markedly different is the scale at which we're doing this. This is a generational change that's going to occur if this program is successful over the next several years, in terms of thousands of families that will be able to access employment opportunities through this skill development. And then the final thing I would say is that it's the success of a job training program, an education program, is not so much what happens in the classroom, but it's all the life events that potentially could be an obstacle for someone to complete. And so what this program also does is facilitates different nonprofits and service organizations that can help surround the individual, the participant in the program, and ensure that we're anticipating and overcoming obstacles, whether it's childcare or transportation or a financial issue that gets in the way of ultimately completing the program that would prevent someone from entering into that job successfully. So it's a comprehensive effort. It's a community-wide effort. And it's at a scale that I don't think has ever been done in the country, which I think shows great foresight by the San Antonio community.
San Antonio ready to work. Mayor, thank you for your time.
Thanks, y'all. Have a great night.
You as well. We'll be right back.